Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. I hope everything's good at your end. So guys, I know I'm doing a lot of Canelo videos of late. I do a lot of Canelo videos all the time anyway, but this video is not going to be a Canelo video, but just bear with me this week because I'm going to be doing a lot of videos breaking down the fight, press conferences, weigh-ins, live reaction. I'm going to do a lot. So yeah, so bear with me. I have recorded the other content as well that's going to be put out. This is one of them. So I wanted to talk about Terence Bud Crawford. Terence Bud Crawford said, I'm going straight to Spence. I'm going to destroy him. Then I'm going to go to Jermell Charlo and bleep him up. Terence ain't messing around. Terence means it business. Terence is going to wipe these guys out. Terence wants to wipe these guys out. He said these boys are in trouble. He goes, I'm beating all bums. I ain't taking no prisoners. He goes, I'm going to beat Spence. He's a bum. I'm going to beat Jermell Charlo. He's a bum. But Terence has got another thing coming. I'm only joking, by the way. He didn't call them bums. Before some of you start getting really pissed off, he didn't call them bums. That was just me messing around. But this is what Terence had to say. He goes, I'm going straight into it. I don't want no tune-up fights. Damn, no tune-up fights. I don't want nothing. I want to go straight into the Spence fight. I'm free to do whatever I want. There's nothing standing in the way from us fighting. There's no promotional company that's blocking it. There's no wrong side of the street. There's no nothing. Let's see who the best welterweight in the world is. Now everybody saying that Errol's back and he's 100% ready. So now the perfect time for me and him to fight. He called me out after Udenis Ugas, so ain't no backing up now. He goes, definitely it's bigger now. There's a lot at stake, undisputed on the line. That's the bigger than the fight was going to be between us in the past. This way will be my second undisputed title in 2 different weight classes. That's never been done before in the history of boxing. So I'm looking forward to do that as well. The way we can get this fight done is sending me an offer, and we will look at the offer and sit down on the table and discuss what's needed from both sides. Team Spence, Team Crawford, and we get the fight done. My team is just waiting on them to get in touch with us and make the fight happen. It's time to happen. The time is now for Undisputed. I just think this is the fight where I can display my skills and talent to the fullest. I think Spence is a great fighter, and I think being in the ring with another great fighter will bring greatness out of me. He goes, I'm effing... Damn. He goes, I'm bleeping Charlo up. Put that in there. After I beat Spence, I'm moving up and bleeping Charlo up. Damn. 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 He ain't playing. He's... Oh. He said he's beating Charlo up. Terence Bud Crawford had enough of the games. He wants all the smoke. You know, this is a fight between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence, which needs to happen. It needs to happen. You know, it's a must. For the sport of boxing, it's a must. It's a fight that needs to happen. It's a fight which we boxing fans need, we crave, we desire. It's a must-see fight. It's a proper 50-50 fight. And it's a fight that fans have been craving now for the last 3 or 4 years. And one that we wanted to see for a very long time. Are Spence and Crawford going to give us what we want? Or are they not going to give us what we want? You know, only time will tell. But if they don't fight and they find a way of not fighting, it's going to hurt their legacies massively. We don't want another Khan Brooks situation where they fight when they're granddads. Nah, we don't want that. We want them fighting now in their primes, when they're both at the top, when they've both got belts. We want this fight. Errol Spence, after the Udenis Ugas fight, said that I'm coming. I want this fight. You know, he said, I'm going to clean out my side of the table, side of the street. Then I'm going to come to your side of the street. Well, as Terence Crawford said, the time for Undisputed is now. This is the biggest fight. You know, this is what Errol Spence wanted to do. He wanted to beat everybody on his side, which he's done. Now there's only Crawford left. So if he believes, Errol Spence believes he's the best welterweight in the world, he's got to beat Terence Crawford. He's not the best welterweight in the world until he beats Terence Crawford, because Terence Crawford is seen as the other top guy. He needs to fight Terence Crawford. He needs to fight Terence Crawford. That's the only fight, really. That's the only fight. Needs to happen next as well. That's the only fight for both guys that we really want to see. We want to see both of them fight next. We don't want none of this funny business. I'm the big fish. I deserve this. I deserve that. No, we want to see the fight next. No big fish. No small fish. I want to see both of them in the ring. I want to see this fight. I'm desperate to see this fight, and I know you guys are desperate to see this fight. It's a great fight. You know, there's the thought of it, just thinking about it. It's a special fight. It's a fight for the ages, and a fight that, you know, I would, damn, I'd love to see that fight. I don't know whether it will happen. I hope it will. I hope, you know, they can get around the table and make the fight. It's a quality fight, without question. It's a quality fight. It's the best fight, in my opinion, that could potentially be made in boxing. 2 pound for pound undefeated champions in their prime. It's an unbelievable matchup. It's a matchup for the ages. It is. It's the matchup for the ages. It's a quality fight. One that I can't call. You know, I know I said Spence, but, you know, I'm not saying it with any confidence. I don't know. I generally don't know. It could go it could go any way. It could go any way. In terms of Terence Crawford fighting Jermell Charlo, that's called greatness. Imagine if Jermell Charlo beats Brian Castano and Terence Crawford beats Errol Spence and then goes up and fights Jermell Charlo. He could be undisputed in 3 weight classes. And he'll be #1 pound for pound. If he beats Spence and Jermell Charlo, Crawford is pound for pound #1. If he beats that, there's no. I don't think anyone can dispute his resume then. If he beats Spence and Jermell Charlo, goodness gracious me, that's what I call pound for pound. I call that's a proper pound for pound. He may have even, because he'll be undisputed in 3 weight classes. That's unheard of. So for me, if Terence Crawford was to wipe out Jermell Charlo and beat Errol Spence, goodness gracious me, we're looking at a generational great. He's an all-time great. If he does that, if he beats Spence, beats Charlo, he's an all-time great, period. Because there are proper 50, like, I wouldn't even say Jermell Charlo's a 50-55. I would say he's an underdog against Jermell Charlo. Real talk. He's an underdog against Jermell Charlo. Because Jermell is massive. Now, he could outbox Jermell, but Jermell is massive and he can crack. Against Spence, again, who knows? The bookies might make him, he might be the favorite in that fight. He might be the bookies' favorite. He may be the favorite against Spence, slightly. But not by much, according to the bookies. But that is a wild mouth-watering. Both matchups are mouth-watering. And I actually feel that Crawford would do it. I think if Crawford beats Errol Spence, I don't think there'll be anything for him to do at welterweight. Him going up and fighting Charlo would be the perfect move. And imagine if he wins that fight. If Charlo is to be successful, imagine if he beats... oh my goodness. That would be unbelievable. That would genuinely be unbelievable. He'd leapfrog himself because let's not remember that Canelo will only be undisputed in 2 weight classes if he does it at light heavyweight, where Canelo's got a hard run because he's gonna have to beat Bivol and Beterbiev, whereas this guy could potentially in 2 fights be undisputed in 3 weight classes. Now some may say that's a cheap way to become undisputed, because although he beat everybody at 140 pound, the division was weaker. Here he's fighting one guy and becoming undisputed. But nevertheless, that one guy that he's fighting is elite. And like, you could say Spence and Charlo are pound for pound in the top 10. Especially if Charlo beats If Charlo beats Castano, he's top 10 pound for pound. He's undisputed. If Spence is already top 10 pound for pound. So he'd be beating 2 potential top 10 pound for pounds in order to become undisputed. That's surreal. Crawford would already be an all-time great. He'd be, if he was to beat Spence and Charlo, he's an all-time great. Full stop. Like, if Spence was to beat Crawford, I wouldn't say he's an all-time great. I would still say that he's got a lot of work to do. I would still say he's got a lot of work to do, because I still say that, you know, he's just dominated one weight class, whereas, you know, having said that, Crawford's not really dominated. He dominated 140, and he's done well at welterweight, but his competition hasn't been the strongest. But if he was to beat Spence, then that basically shows he's the best welterweight out there. Because let's be honest, Thurman, Garcia aren't going to beat him. I know styles make fights, but for me, they're at the end of their road. They're at the end of their career. So beating Spence is the best welterweight, because Spence would beat all of them. I know Crawford fighting all of those guys would obviously enhance his resume, but I think he does beat them. If he beats the top guy in Spence and then beats Jermell Charlo, I think you can't really deny his pound for pound status, as like he could be number 1 pound for pound. Like, I know Canelo will have a say as well. But if Canelo beats Bivol and Beterbiev, then, you know, that's a big feat as well. But beating Spence and Charlo, 2 top 10 pound for pound, because Bivol and Beterbiev are not 2 top 10 pound for pound. As good as they are, they're not top 10. Whereas Charlo and Spence, like, if Charlo beats Castano, he's definitely top 10 pound for pound, and Spence is definitely top 10 pound for pound. That honestly, that would be something else. Three undisputed in 3 weight classes. Are you crazy? And then beating guys like Spence and Charlo in their primes. That is surreal. If he does do that, I'll take my hat off to Crawford, because I don't think he comes through. Personally, I'm favoring Spence against him. So if he does do that, my goodness, like, he deserves some real praise. He deserves he deserves everything he gets if he manages to pull that off. But again, it's a lot easier said than done. You know, those guys are proper top fighters. So yeah, let's see what Terence Crawford does. I would love to see those fights. I think they're all cracking fights. I think they make for good fights as well. Honestly, I'll be really interested to see both of those. But how do you think Crawford gets on against Errol Spence? And how do you think he gets on against Jermell Charlo? I think they're tough fights, but I think with Crawford's talent, anything's possible. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.